Hello, dear friend. Camille Azaf needs to tell you a history about a national food in Haiti. It is a food of the Haitian story, but before you hear the story, Camille Azaf needs to show some products he has to offer you if you need to have a souvenir when you visit, if you have the will to spend your times there in the different touristic places in Haiti. Now take your little chair to hear the story about Haitian food. Soup jumu in Creole. In French, soup au juromon is a mildly spicy soup native to Haitian cuisine. In 2021, soup jumu was added to the UNESCO Intangible Cultural Heritage List. Soup jumu alternative names soup au juromon type soup place of origin Haiti main ingredients squash, beef, potatoes, vegetables cookbook. Soup jumu media. Soup jumu. The soup is traditionally cooked with pumpkin winter squash. The pumpkin slices are simmered in a saucepan along with pieces of beef, potato, plantains and vegetables such as parsley, carrots, green cabbage, celery and onions. The pumpkin is then pureed, usually in a food processor, with water, and the puree is returned to the saucepan. Salt and seasoning along with garlic and other herbs and spices are then added. Some Haitians add thin pasta such as vermicelli and macaroni and a small amount of butter or oil. A dash of lime juice is added before serving. The soup is always served hot and is usually accompanied with a sliced bread which is dipped in the soup. Social connotations and liberation. Soup jumu has multiple social and symbolic meanings for the Haitian people. During slavery, only the French colonial masters and plantation owners were allowed to enjoy this delicacy, a delicacy prepared by slaves. After the revolution, the free Haitians were finally able to eat this meal. The soup came to represent freedom, emancipation and independence. It functions as a reminder of the revolution that liberated the Haitian population. On January 1st, Haitians both at home and in the diaspora celebrate the first successful slave rebellion that transferred political power its slave majority, with this soup. A local street food vendor in Haiti was interviewed about the significance of her job and the purpose of her people. She replied, "No se revolution. No prend soin yon lot," or, "We are revolutionaries. We take care of each other." Specifically, soup jumu was a food source for the French colonial masters on the plantations of Haiti. The meal was ideal for Haitian slaves who were restricted to rations and scraps of food left by their masters. Culture remembrance. Understandably, the enormous number of slaves transported to Haiti to increase production of the world's largest coffee and sugar producers could not completely replicate the social and political structures present at their previous homes. However, the slaves, many of whom were previously war captives, did acquire artistic and metallurgical skills as well as ideologies. The cultural retention of these slaves was present in their religious ideas, musical improvisation, culinary techniques, cooperation and linguistic repertoires. Slaves brought to the Western Hemisphere, specifically in places such as Charleston, Memphis, New Orleans, Havana, Port-au-Prince, and Kingston, have been described as superstitious, religious, and spiritual with direct traces to their African diasporic roots. Slaves were observed to fetishize the dead through traditions of family graveyards, faith healing, and root doctoring. Much of this was retained in the culinary practices used to create combination of foods, with soup jumu being an example in Haiti, using the accessible pumpkin-like squash that is the base for the soup, and gumbo popularly consumed by slaves in many southern states in the U.S. Both are combination food, a common phenomenon in African culinary traditions. In some Haitian households, the making of soup jumu includes the addition of an ingredient, okra or okro, a flowering plant in the mallow family. It is valued for its edible green seed pods. After all of the slave labor that propelled the colony into being the world's highest sugar and coffee producers by the end of the 18th century, it was still illegal for the slaves who prepared the food to taste the finished product of soup jumu. Hence, it is no coincidence that Haitians take tremendous pride in consuming the soup that they were once forbidden to eat on the day of its independence. Consequently, soup jumu is traditionally consumed on New Year's Day, January 1st, in reverence for and tribute to Haitian independence which occurred in 1804. Recognition in December 2021. Haiti obtained official recognition for the knowledge, know-how and practices pertaining to the consumption of soup jumu on the representative list of the Intangible Cultural Heritage of Humanity by UNESCO. See also Haiti Portal Food Portal List of soups. List of squash and pumpkin dishes. References carrot, soup jumu, Haitian pumpkin soup. Reader.
Realization, separate action.
Did you like the trap? So, I'm waiting for you to do it personally. Do you see this cap? It is my production also. Do you like it? But it can belong to you too. So, you can ask it to me. It's cool. Bye bye. See you when you come. Goodbye.